Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Very good. Okay. He wanted me to fall down. So whenever I tweet on Twitter, people start asking me and sending me direct messages and commenting on my tweets. How do you tweet when you are blind? Is it possible? Whenever I explain to them that yes, it is possible for a visually impaired person to use smartphone and tweet, but they say impossible. You are lying. Someone is managing your account, some of them. But words like impossible, no, she can't, you can't, she's incapable, I have heard so many times in my life. Did they hurt me? What do you think? Did they hurt? Of course they did, very badly. Did they stop me? This is what I will tell you about in a few minutes. Helen Keller says, although the world is full of suffering, it is full also of the overcoming of it. We cannot decide our destiny, but we can decide and choose our path in life. I had two choices, either to surrender to misery, despair, and ignorance, or to rise, learn, and achieve what I want. My parents, as any newly happy married couple, they dreamed of having a normal, healthy kid, but for their own shock, their kid, me, was blind, cannot see. We are from a village, we don't know, they didn't know how to deal with a visually impaired person, it's their first time, but thanks Allah, they decided to raise me as any normal person. As I grew, challenges grew with me and became bigger and bigger. My parents believed that education and knowledge would give me power and independence. There is a story that has made a turning point in my life. I was asking my mother that I want to go to school like other girls, and one day she decided to go to the neighboring school and to ask, or let me say, to beg the headmistress to allow me to join the classroom as listener. I was waiting for my mother anxiously in front of the house. I couldn't stay inside. But when my mother came, her voice was trembling. She was crying and said, they refused. You cannot go to school. At that day, there is something inside me told me that one day you will prove to the world and to your mother and you will make your mother proud of you one day. I didn't know how to do it, I didn't know how, but there is something inside me said to me that. Later on, after 1 year, my father came and said, I will send Sheikhah to Bahrain to study there, alone. Everybody said no, but he said yes, she will go. She has to learn. I want her to learn. I want her to be educated. So I was sent to study in Bahrain. It was the most painful experience I have ever had in my life. I was sent far away from my family, from my homeland. I suffered homesickness. I hated education or studying because it was linked with being away from my family, from my homeland. I also thought and accused my father of sending me away because he didn't like me. But there in Bahrain, I studied for 9 years. I learned Braille, I learned how to read and write, I learned how to be independent and to be confident and to do or to achieve what I want. After 9 years in grade 9, I got 97% and I was honored by Sheikh Salman, Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa. But again, it was the policy of the school that I studied in that I have to come back to my country and study in a government school or in a normal school with sighted people in order to prepare me for the university life. So I came back to Oman and I decided to study in the neighboring school that refused me 9 years ago. Unfortunately, the school wasn't qualified to receive a person like me. But they tried hard to accept that challenge. They said, okay, we will accept you. I was the first visually impaired student in the school. The teachers were not qualified to teach me. And the most important thing, the books, they were not recorded as audio, and they were not available in Braille. Another challenge I faced, taking exams orally, that the teacher had to ask me the question and I have to give her the answer. Chemistry, math, everything. Challenges did not hinder me to pursue my dream. I said, I will do it. My parents and my family, my friends, everybody were recording the books for me in audio cassettes in order for me to study. The exams, I tried to cope with that and took them orally. After 3 years, in grade 12, the results came out and I got 95%, the first in the school. At that day, my father said, you see, I told you, you will do it one day, and I didn't hate you when I sent you to Bahrain. I wanted you to reach to this moment. I was admitted to Sultan Qaboos University, but for my own surprise, visually impaired students were only allowed to join 2 majors, either Arabic or history. I said, I don't want. I want to study translation because I believe that translation, first of all, has something to do with being productive. I want to show the world that I'm productive. The other thing that I want to help my colleagues, my visually impaired colleague, to get to the information available about screen readers and softwares and assistive technologies. The dean who interviewed me at the first of my SQU day said, it's impossible, we cannot. You can't, he said, you can't read and write. I said, I can read and write using my computer. I learned how to use computer with a screen reader, which reads aloud everything for me. They said, okay, we'll test you. They tested me, and I managed, and I studied I joined the English department, and I studied translation. At SQU, life wasn't easy. Books also were not available. Facilities were not available at that time. But sometimes I couldn't go to classes because nobody can take me to my classes. Sometimes I took exams without studying because nobody was reading for me. But also, again, lots of people helped me. Lots of people tried to support me. After 4 years, I graduated, and I was one of the top 5 students among my cohort. Challenges did not stop. I searched for a job. I wanted to work. My father said, okay, work from home. I said, no, I want to work in an office. Then one day, I went for an interview. And the HR manager in one of the big companies, and when the HR manager said, okay, fill in the form. I said, I can't fill in the form because if you just send it to me to my email, I can read it. He said, okay, we'll ask you the question and then you give us the answers. After that, he said, okay, now you have to sign. I said, I'm sorry, I have never held a pen in my life, so I cannot sign. He said, if you cannot sign, how would you be able to work? Later on, I got an opportunity to be as a trainee in the Information Technology Authority. So I was trained there for 2 months, and after that, I was accepted and got an offer to work as a media specialist. I'm now working like my other colleagues. I'm doing all the tasks like whatever they do. I translate, I write PRs, I do everything independently using my own computer. After 2 years, I was honored the Employee of the Month. And plus, I started doing MBA. I searched for a university, and unfortunately, many universities refused me. They said, you cannot study accounting, finance, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I can do it. And one of the universities accepted the challenge and said, we will accept you, we'll take you in. I recently got my MBA at the beginning of this year. Plus, I started my own small business recently to show that I am capable and I can lead people and I can learn from my mistakes and achieve what I want. Now, people ask me in many occasions, how do you see beauty? Do you think that I can see beauty? Yeah, and often, most of the time, my mother keeps crying whenever we travel to some places because she wishes I could see what she sees in front of her. But I assure you, and I assure my mother, that I can, through my all senses, other senses, I can experience beauty. Beauty is an experience for me. It's something I can feel, like I can touch and smell the roses. I can feel the breeze blows in my face. I can listen to the waves of the sea. So beauty for me is experience. And I can feel the tenderness of the people and their smiles even when they talk to me. So I can see your beauty even without sight. Another question came to me, or I received many times. Would you like your sight to be back to you? Do you want to be sighted? What do you think? Yes? No? Actually, I don't know. I think that I'm used to being blind. I'm satisfied. And one day, one of my friends said, sometimes we forget that you are blind. And I said, okay. So people started to recognize that I'm not different. I'm like them, but with one of my senses is missing. All these things, all these little achievements would not have been accomplished without suffering and patience. Suffering taught me that I have to look at obstacles and rejections as positive steps that push me further. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. I started to look at myself differently, even if the whole world sees me a disabled person. I kept seeing myself as a differently able person. My message for you, if you want to be confident, start with yourself, with an inside. Don't wait for others to give you confidence. Value your strengths and weaknesses, embrace them, and people will have confidence and trust on you. Today, I'm standing here in front of you in an honor, and because of my father, who passed away 3 months ago, leaving me with a message that I have to carry on, that persons with disability do not need your sympathy, they need opportunity, and they will achieve miracles. I will end up my talk by a quote from Helen Keller. She says, "Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through the experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision inspired, ambition cleared, and success achieved." Thank you.